Well, sometimes in our region, when we talk about events, the weather doesn't always match up with the events. Salisbury, of course, ski jumps. Sometimes there's snow. Most of the times they make their own snow. Sometimes we get warm weather. Sometimes so it doesn't feel like winter weather. But it looks like this year, the winter weekend in Norfolk, which is going to be virtual this year, beginning on February 20th, it looks like not only is it going to feel like winter, but it's going to look like winter. We have with us to talk about it Eric Olsen and Tom McGowan. Eric and Tom, welcome back and thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having us. Great to be here.
You know, I'm. By the way, we'll get it this way. If you're listening to this interview and you want more information, weekendinnorfolk.org is the website. Weekendinnorfolk.org. When you get there, you'll see on-demand events that came from like last year, but this year it's going to be a virtual winter festival. So let's start talking about that at first. It starts the 20th of February. Who wants to talk about the virtual festival and how it's set up?
I'll let Tom go first. That'd be great.
All right. Well, we have this. It's a virtual festival, and we have a variety of things for people to view. We have music, we have art, nature, children, and then we have another group of items that are of quite interest to me. Architectural tour of Norfolk, a workshop on Spanish cooking. There's a curling demo from the Norfolk Curling Club, and we have an author discussion. And so there's just so much that no matter what a person might be interested in, they just have a variety of choices with this virtual presentation. So as far as the additional things that I'm looking at right now, I hate to pick one and feature that because they're all so important and so well done. And we have a discussion, a guide to historic artist homes and studios across America. That's live at 4 p.m. So some of this is pre-taped, some of it is live, and those are just a couple things. Also, the Norfolk Library is sponsoring the two author discussions. So I'll let you speak for a minute, Eric, and then I'll jump back in a minute.
Sure. Thanks, Tom. You know, it's really we live in an amazing community, and we're so blessed and so gifted to have the number of musicians and artists and creative people that we have. Sorry. For me, one of the things I was struck by is the virtual workshops. Of course, are a way to connect from home, but I also find significant inspiration for opportunities to get outside. We have so much in terms of the natural resources and the beauty of this community, the trails that we have here, and as you said, Marshall, at the outset, it is indeed a winter wonderland, especially right now. With more than a foot of snow on the ground. And we have hiking trails, so if folks are inclined to, snowshoe, cross-country ski, get out and go sledding, whatever it may be. One of the things that really sort of captured my eye in looking at this year's offerings was the tour of Norfolk's Historic Center Cemetery. And that may seem a little macabre, but it really is not. It's a fascinating location, and there's so much rich history there, including the gravesite of James Mars, who actually was the last slave bought and sold here in Norfolk. And we are committed right now as a congregation, as a little bit of a sidebar. We're doing we're undertaking a partnership with Salisbury School to create and install a witness stone in his memory. So I would invite folks to do a little research, to look up James Mars. He went on to become a member of this church and then went on to become really active in Hartford, doing a lot of work for against slavery and for the abolition movement. But that's one of the ways that you can sort of connect the dots between what is virtual and those things that allow you to get outside. And I would urge folks to do that.
Now, with the weekend in the winter weekend in Norfolk, is this a 2-day or a 3-day event this year?
Well, it's actually it's a virtual presentation.
So it's wide open.
It's wide open, so you can join in on the day. You can join in after the day, which makes that very exciting because some people, you get tied up, and depending what's going on with weather and so forth. I mean, there are a few live things here, but I believe they're going to be presented also afterwards so that you could see them virtually. But there's just so many choices. I mean, if you look at the music and the art, you have these performances by these very talented people, and there are just an abundance of choices.
Well, when people go to the website, they're going to see that because on the website at weekendinnorfolk.org, you have a space for live events, and it says, you'll put up a schedule when the live events are scheduled and put there. But for people that have no idea what this weekend is all about, just right next to that is a list of on-demand events that came from different Weekend in Norfolk events, and people can get a real idea what's going on. When I found out from the libraries, all the libraries in this area, these Zoom events that they're doing have really increased attendance at all these different events. And do you think this is going to be one of the benefits of having a virtual event, once again, that's necessitated by COVID-19, that really it broadens your base of people that can experience the town?
Oh, I agree. I agree totally, because even once we come out of this COVID situation and we continue to move forward, we're still going to have a variety of people for different reasons that cannot physically attend. So I think it would be a wise idea going forward when we're back on our feet, so to speak, and out of doors in person with everybody, which you cannot beat that in-person touch, being together. But I think it would still be a good idea to have everything that's possible to put on the internet so people that can't get here physically are able to, join in the excitement and the fun also.
Well,
yeah.
I
I couldn't agree more. One of the things that we have, as one of the organizations or one of the groups here in the community, we have definitely had participation rise, and people from all walks of life and all parts of not just the country, but around the world, sort of tuning in to participate in discussions. And I'm sure that'll be the case with these online videos.
Yeah,
and it's a great way to introduce the town itself to people. And I think Norfolk is always known as the icebox of Connecticut, so people are aware of wintertime and what happens up here. But the weekend before you have your event, the Salisbury Winter Sports Association is following protocols for COVID-19, and they are holding their ski jumps. And I think people can get a real idea that, yes, people come to this area to recreate and to vacation and stuff in the summertime. But boy, the events that we put on here, and I say we, meaning you in Norfolk and like the Salisbury Winter Sports Association and ski areas, this really has become a destination for wintertime activities.
Oh, I agree. It's virtually it's a year-round presentation up here in the northwest corner, I think. I mean, I always get excited about it. We came here about 25 years ago, and when we drove through the center of Norfolk, I looked at my wife and I said, "This is it." And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "This is where we're going to spend the rest of our lives." And we've never regretted it. And that includes Lakeville, Salisbury, Sharon, Canaan, the whole northwest corner. It's magical. So to be able to have this part of it, our presentation from Norfolk, is always exciting.
And of course, once again, we're talking about a weekend in Norfolk, and it really February 20th. But you can experience it however you want to experience it. It involves, and this is the great thing, how it's grown. I can remember how it started. It not only features music, art, nature, but also, as you said, events where people can join in different presentations, and and really participate via the virtualness of this event. And if people want more information, there's a couple different ways to get it. Of course, like we said, weekendinnorfolk.org. But if you're a member of Facebook, they're on Facebook at facebook.com. Just all you have to do if you're on Facebook, type in Weekend in Norfolk, one word, and you'll get more information about that. So, any final closing thoughts from either of you on this upcoming virtual event, the Winter Weekend in Norfolk?
The last thing I would say is just the website is an incredible resource, the weekendinnorfolk.org that you mentioned. And during this pandemic, one of the things that I have done, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this, is once you find something that interests you, you can very readily head down what they call a rabbit hole, and you can find anything and everything. So one of the things that you'll see on the website is you have a link to each video that's provided, but then there's an opportunity to read more and learn more. So, for instance, if you become really smitten with an artist or a particular aspect of a piece of music or one of the trails that you can see on one of these videos, whatever it may be, there's a way to follow up and contact one of the great groups or organizations here in Norfolk to learn more and potentially have an in-person experience that could change your life.
That is so true, Eric, and it's magical. And I just want to say one thing. Sue Frisch, who created Weekend Norfolk, started it, continues with this wonderful energy she has each year. And the minute I see an email from her or I get a phone call, I get excited about it again. And part of it's because of what you said, Eric, about it can become a rabbit hole, which is a wonderful thing, especially this time of year, because you can just go and go and go and live, through this whole process, and you don't have to go out the front door.
And you can talk from, like you say, from the Norfolk Curling Club to kids' workshops to studio tours to music, as you said, hiking tours outside. There really is something for every member of the family. It's Weekend in Norfolk. Once again, all the information at weekendinnorfolk.org and also on Facebook. Guys, obviously, I think we're going to keep the snow around, so it'll definitely be a great winter weekend in Norfolk. I want to thank you for joining us once again this year.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure being with you. Thanks, Marshall.